Since launching GTN in the summer, we've been fortunate to take a closer look at some impressive pro bikes. And it's been a tough challenge, but we've picked some of our favourite pro bikes. So here they are. Our very first pro bike, and not a bad place to start, with a double Olympic champion, Alistair Brownlee. Now, Alistair stepped up the distance and to a non-drafting format. So it's quite interesting to see his setup on his Scott Plasma TT, having spent so many years on a road bike. And on his Scott Plasma, he had Zipp 808 wheels with SRAM Red eTap and the Scott Plasma integrated storage. Now, we didn't see a whole deal from Alistair this year due to injury, but hopefully we'll see him back even stronger in 2018. Now, this one was just ahead of the Ironman 70.3 Worlds, and actually after the race we discovered that Tim Reid wasn't actually in the best shape, having suffered from illness in the lead up to the race. So we were extremely grateful for his time pre-race. Now, Tim mentions that a lot of the adaptations are for psychological gains as much as aerodynamics. And we see that with his carbon plate over his crankset for aerodynamics, where he's riding a 162.5mm crank length, which is pretty short.
What have you got going on here?
That's just a little aero cover that I made up.
Okay.
Yeah, you can buy the carbon piece and you just essentially cut it and tape it onto the crankset.
Have you had it tested? Does it make?
I haven't done any testing on it. Most of the things I add on like that are just to intimidate competitors. I'm not sure.
Secret's out.
He also mentions just how adjustable the bike is, so he's gone for a slightly more upright and more comfortable position with his bars. And you'll notice that it's got a rather striking paintwork, which is available to the pros, and we actually saw on Ben Canute's road bike, his Trek Madon, at the ITU Grand Final in Rotterdam. Of course, we have to include the P5X, the bike that really does turn heads, and it is still the leader of the superbikes. And as you probably noticed, Heather and myself have had the pleasure of riding one. As you can see, I've got mine right here. And I can tell you, it really is fast. Now, Susie first got her hands on the P5X when it launched at Kona last year in 2016. Now, this year, she rode it to a 6th place finish overall. And on that bike, she was riding with a Headjet 6 on the front and Headjet 9 on the rear, with customized decals on the wheels. She also had it fully kitted out with ceramic speed bearings and the ceramic speed OSPW jockey wheels. She also had the Rotor 2 power meter with the Rotor Q rings. Kyle Buckingham had only been riding this bike for a few weeks when we caught up with him ahead of the Ironman World Championships in Kona. It was the brand new Look 796 RS TT bike. It was fully loaded with some aero features. It had the flat aero stem, the aero crankset, and something really unique was the interchangeable crank lengths. And by rotating a simple triangular mechanism, you could go from a 162.5, a 165, or a 167.5 crank length. We caught up with Christian Blumenfeld after his 2nd place finish at the ITU Grand Final in Rotterdam. He then went on to a dominating performance at the Super League in Jersey, and then he finished his season with his first 70.3 win in Bahrain. He truly is a very impressive athlete to watch, but back to his bike, we were very impressed and very surprised actually to see him riding quite a standard Trek Madon 9 that's been loaned to him by a local bike shop. And it's not a total shock to hear that he's been snapped up by Specialized since. And one thing that did stand out on the Trek was his coach's special wax chain coating, which I still haven't actually found out what the formula is. We're delighted to take a first look at Harry Wiltshire's Reid TT. It's another beam bike, it's a new design, and actually at the time it was the only one. It was the first time Harry got to race it, and he managed to equal his World Championship best result. So it was a great first outing. Now, one thing I really liked about the bike was the magnetic removable section over the front brake for easy access to make adjustments. Another part was the aerodynamic feature that managed to smoothen out the airflow over the front mech. Now, I really like the bike, and I've got to say there's been more and more beam bikes coming out, so it's really exciting to see what the future holds for triathlon and these super bikes. Last but definitely not least is the Bermudan Tyler Butterfield's Cervelo P5. And this is certainly something you can't buy, not with Tyler Butterfield's custom work that he spent hours and hours developing. The thing I really like on this was his aero cover that he'd made out of gaffer tape over his front brake. And another unique feature was his double bottle setup between his arms on his aero bars. And for any of those doubters out there, it's taken him to a 7th place finish in the Ironman 70.3 Worlds and a 5th place finish in the Ironman World Champs. Now I've got to say, I absolutely love it, and I know that many of you viewers out there really enjoyed the video too. So there we go, there's GTN's top pro bikes. Let us know which one was your favourite in the comments below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And you can see more videos by clicking on the globe and subscribing to GTN. And to see Tyler Butterfield's bike that we've just been speaking about, you can click down here. And to see Alistair Brownlee's Scott Plasma, you can click down here.